WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously...
It's finally happening. The moment every Caitlin Clark fan has been waiting for since the very first time she stepped onto a professional court is no longer speculation. It's breaking news. And the shockwaves from this development aren't just big, they're league-altering. According to multiple insiders, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is expected to resign, and sources close to the situation say this move is all but finalized. This isn't a rumor quietly floating around league circles anymore. This is a power shift, one that could redefine the future of the WNBA as we know it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. This potential resignation is happening at the exact same time Caitlin Clark is finalizing a historic, game-changing update to her Nike contract. A deal that insiders say elevates her into an entirely new tier of influence, visibility, and control within women's basketball. That timing? Not accidental, not random, and definitely not meaningless. For months, fans have watched Clark carry record-breaking ratings, sell out arenas, and bring unprecedented attention to the league, while leadership decisions lagged behind the reality on the court. Now it appears the balance of power is finally shifting. What happens next could reshape endorsement dynamics, redefine player leverage, and force the league to confront a truth it can no longer ignore. Caitlin Clark isn't just the future of the WNBA. She's already driving its present. It now appears the long-running war between the old guard and the new queen of basketball has finally reached its end. And the outcome? Undeniable. There is no debate left about who won. But to truly understand why the commissioner is reportedly preparing to walk away, and why Nike is backing up the Brinks truck for Caitlin Clark, we have to pull back the curtain. Because this didn't happen overnight. Behind closed doors, there were quiet meetings, tense conversations, and now, leaked audio that exposed just how fractured the league's leadership had become. For the past 24 months, chaos has been building behind the scenes. And what the public saw was only a fraction of the truth. And let's be clear, this is no longer just about basketball. This is about power. This is about jealousy. And this may go down as one of the biggest leadership fumbles in modern sports history. So let's get straight into the fire. According to multiple high-level sources inside the sports business world, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is actively negotiating her exit strategy. Not considering it. Not weighing options. Negotiating it. This comes after one of the most turbulent and paradoxical years in league history. Popularity exploded. Viewership shattered expectations. Ticket sales surged. The spotlight on the WNBA reached heights it had never seen before. Yet somehow, league leadership appeared to be working against the very player responsible for that growth. While Caitlin Clark was filling arenas and rewriting the conversation around women's basketball, decisions at the top raised eyebrows, sparked backlash, and fueled the perception of internal resistance rather than support. The breaking point came with a massive, undeniable power move, and it didn't come from the league. It came from Nike. While the WNBA was still stuck debating whether Caitlin Clark was truly great or merely popular, Nike made a decision that ended the argument instantly. They've now unveiled the next phase of Clark's signature partnership. And according to insiders close to the deal, its valuation is nearly double the original $28 million figure first reported back in 2024. This isn't just an extension. This is a statement. Sources describe the agreement as a long-term, effectively lifetime, alignment with the brand. A move that places Caitlin Clark in rare company, even by NBA standards. The deal includes a massive Global From Anywhere campaign, positioning Clark as the face of a new era in basketball. Not just women's basketball, but the sport as a whole. And perhaps most importantly, it comes with the official rollout of her signature shoe line. And the projections? They're staggering. Industry analysts expect Clark's signature line to outsell the merchandise of several current NBA stars by a 3-to-1 margin. Numbers that force a very uncomfortable reality on the league. Because while the WNBA hesitated, Nike didn't. They saw the data. They saw the demand. And they made their choice. Nike looked at the numbers, they studied the fan base, and they reached a conclusion that changed everything. Caitlin Clark isn't just a WNBA player. She's a global economy unto herself. And that overwhelming vote of confidence from the largest sports brand on the planet didn't just elevate Clark. It quietly exposed how small, petty, and arguably out-of-touch league leadership had begun to look. But that raises the real question. Why now? Why is the commissioner reportedly stepping aside at the exact moment the money is finally pouring in? According to a stunning report circulating through league circles, the answer may lie in what insiders are calling a hot mic moment, or as others have labeled it, the ungrateful leak. Multiple sources claim that late this season, a closed-door meeting took place involving senior league officials. The topic? Revenue sharing, player branding, and marketing control, specifically centered around Caitlin Clark's unprecedented impact. And during that meeting, rumors allege that Commissioner Kathy Engelbert made a comment that instantly changed the temperature in the room. According to those reports, she suggested that Clark and her camp should be grateful for the platform the WNBA provides, implying that without the league's infrastructure, Caitlin Clark would simply be another talented player with a basketball. If true, that comment didn't just miss the moment, it completely misread reality. Because by that point, the numbers were already clear. The ratings, the ticket sales, the global attention. Caitlin Clark wasn't being carried by the league. She was carrying it. That comment, which reportedly made its way back to players, agents, and ownership circles, became the spark that lit the powder keg. Think about it. Imagine telling the player who single-handedly ushered in private charter flights, sold out arenas, and millions of new eyeballs that she should be the one saying thank you. That wasn't just tone-deaf. It was a stunning level of disconnect. And this time, even the team owners couldn't ignore it. These are owners who are finally watching their franchise values skyrocket. Owners who are seeing real returns after years of stagnation. And they quickly understood one simple truth. Having a commissioner who appears resentful of the league's biggest asset is not just awkward, it's bad business. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. And right now, Caitlin Clark is feeding everyone. To understand how it reached this point, you have to rewind the tape. Go back to 2024. Caitlin Clark enters the league amid historic hype, the kind the WNBA had never experienced before. And instead of rolling out the red carpet, league leadership allowed a narrative of hostility to quietly fester. We all saw it. The hard fouls, the cheap shots, the constant media dismissiveness, even from so-called legends of the game. Night after night, the league's brightest star absorbed punishment, both physical and verbal, while carrying the entire sport on her back. And through all of it, one question kept growing louder. Where was the commissioner? Because silence at that moment wasn't neutral. It was a message. Silence. When Caitlin Clark was body-checked to the floor by Kennedy Carter, the league took days just to upgrade the foul. When coaches were banning media members for asking perfectly valid questions, league leadership was nowhere to be found. This passive, hands-off approach didn't just miss the moment. It created a toxic environment where it felt like Caitlin Clark was fighting the world alone. And the fans noticed immediately. Comment sections exploded. Why does the WNBA hate its own savior? That sentiment didn't fade. It grew. Fast forward to late 2025. Ratings remained steady, but only because of number 22. And now, it appears the Board of Governors has finally had enough. They realize something critical. They need leadership that leans into the Clark effect, not leadership that tries to humble it. And then there's the Nike factor. You cannot overstate how humiliating this new Nike deal is for the WNBA's old guard. The league's maximum salary is still only a fraction of what Caitlin Clark earns from a single Instagram post. The optics? Brutal. The message? Crystal clear. The future isn't just arriving. It's here. When Nike steps in and treats Caitlin Clark like the female Michael Jordan, giving her a custom logo, a massive global marketing budget, and essentially the keys to the kingdom, the contrast couldn't be clearer. It exposes exactly how far behind the WNBA has fallen. Nike isn't playing politics. Nike isn't pretending. Nike is acknowledging reality. Caitlin Clark is a generational superstar. The WNBA? For the last 2 years, it has been trying to convince the world that everyone is a star. That participation trophy mentality doesn't work in professional sports. Nike understands the rules of the game. Stars drive sales. Look at the NBA. It exploded because of Magic, Bird, and Jordan. Now imagine the WNBA if it truly leaned into Clark. The potential? Astronomical. But only if the league stops pretending she is just one of 144 players. And here's the kicker. The rumors of Commissioner Engelbert's resignation aren't just gossip. They signal a major shift. The money people, the billionaire owners, are finally ready to adopt the Nike strategy. The old guard wants to control the narrative. Caitlin Clark, and now Nike, control the reality. Push the superstar. And everyone else gets paid off the overflow. But there's another layer to this story. The jealousy narrative that has haunted the WNBA for years. We've seen former legends like Cheryl Swoops constantly attempt to qualify Caitlin Clark's records, saying things like she takes 40 shots a game or implying her success isn't valid. That energy hasn't stayed on the court. It has seeped into the league's operations. Sources reveal that the friction between the commissioner's office and the Indiana Fever organization has been palpable. Why? The Fever are the cash cow. They travel to sold-out arenas. Their merchandise sales dwarf the other 11 teams combined. Yet, reports indicate that the league hesitated to give them prime-time slots or marketing focus. Allegedly because they didn't want to upset the other teams. This equity-first approach? It backfired spectacularly. Fans aren't interested in manufactured fairness. Fans want to see Caitlin dominate. The commissioner failed her most basic job, to grow the game. You don't grow the game by hiding your best product. You grow it by putting it on every billboard, every screen, everywhere. Exactly what Nike just did. The WNBA? They failed to do that. And now, the consequences are crystal clear. One leader is getting a promotion. The other is likely walking away with a severance package. But what about the players? You might think they'd all be celebrating the commissioner's exit. It's not that simple. The ungrateful leak didn't just offend Caitlin Clark. It offended everyone who understands their value in the league. Players like Nafis Collier and Breanna Stewart, who started their own leagues to compensate for WNBA salary limitations, have been outspoken about the need for a league that truly prioritizes player marketing. If the commissioner believes that the biggest star in the world should be grateful to be here, imagine what that says about the role players. It signals a fundamental lack of respect for talent. Players know the reality. Caitlin Clark is the reason charter flights became mandatory. She is the reason the salary cap is set to rise in the next CBA. She is the reason the WNBA is being noticed globally. The message is simple. The league thrives when stars thrive. If the leadership is clashing with the golden goose, the other players start worrying about their own eggs. Locker room chatter has shifted. It's no longer just jealousy of Caitlin Clark. Players are realizing that Caitlin's fight against the league office is actually their fight too. If she wins, they all win. When the resignation is officially announced, and it will be spun as a mutual decision or retirement, don't be fooled by the PR speak. This is an ouster. A power struggle between the past and the future of the WNBA. The past? A league where players made $70,000 a year and practiced in rec centers. The future? A league where Caitlin Clark has a $50 million Nike deal and plays in NBA arenas. Cathy Engelbert did many things right. She secured capital raises. She steered the league through the early 2020s. But she represents the era of survival, not dominance, not growth, not superstardom. The league is no longer in survival mode. It is in expansion mode. And expansion requires a wartime CEO, someone aggressive, media-savvy, and completely unafraid to shake up the status quo in order to maximize profit. Rumors are swirling that names like Kaya Clark, or even outside disruptors, are being considered for the role. This tells us one thing loud and clear. The owners want a complete culture shift. They want someone who looks at Caitlin Clark and sees opportunity, not a headache. And now, let's talk about the timing of the Nike announcement. It is no accident. Nike is a strategic beast. They dropped the news of Caitlyn's contract restructuring and the massive From Anywhere global campaign right as the league enters its off-season turmoil. Nike calls it a flex, a signal to the marketplace. They are saying, "We are betting the house on her." And by doing so, they make the WNBA look foolish for hesitating. It puts pressure on the league to get their house in order before the spring 2026 season tips off. Nike wants their signature athlete playing in a league that functions at a high level, and step aside or get left behind. The WNBA doesn't want their $50 million superstar dealing with amateur hour scheduling, bad officiating, or a hostile commissioner. By elevating Caitlin Clark's value, Nike is forcing the league to level up. This isn't just a contract, it's a proxy war, and Nike holds far more firepower than the league office ever has. Now let's break down the infamous ungrateful comment, the emotional heart of the story. Why did one word trigger such a firestorm? For decades, female athletes were told to be grateful for scraps. Be grateful you have a league. Be grateful anyone watches. Caitlin Clark ended that mindset. She doesn't need to be grateful for a league that depends entirely on her. She creates leverage. When the commissioner reportedly used that language, it exposed a deep-seated belief: the institution matters more than the talent. That's the same outdated thinking that NCBBA had before NIL. Caitlin Clark doesn't work for the WNBA. Right now, the WNBA works for her brand. When she attends a golf tournament, ratings spike. When she goes to a baseball game, announcers talk about her. She is bigger than the Shield. The commissioner's failure to understand this shift in power is exactly why she lost the locker room, and ultimately the confidence of the board. Looking forward, if Kathy Engelbert steps down, the next commissioner walks into a gold mine, and a minefield. The WNBA can thrive beyond imagination, but only if it fully embraces the Clark era. Repairing the relationship comes first. The next commissioner's opening act will be rebuilding trust with the Fever and the Clark camp. Expect photos, interviews, and public appearances with Caitlin Clark immediately. Spectacle is next. The 2026 season opener is being positioned to be the biggest event in league history. The schedule will be optimized to put Caitlin on TV every night she plays. The old fairness doctrine? Thrown out the window. The new ratings doctrine? Front and center. And honestly, that's exactly what the league needs. The NBA didn't hide Michael Jordan to make the Utah Jazz feel better. They rode Jordan to global dominance. The WNBA is finally realizing they have to do the same with Clark. Breaking the bottleneck. This resignation isn't just a personnel change, it's the removal of the obstruction. The dam has broken. Silence speaks. The haters, the pundits, the old school players who spent 2 years taking shots? Suddenly very quiet. The Nike deal shut them up. It's hard to argue Caitlin is overrated when the smartest marketing company on the planet is investing tens of millions of dollars into her brand. Money talks. BS walks. The commissioner's resignation is the final validation. The Clark era is not a fad. It's the new standard. Those unwilling or unable to adapt are being left behind. We are witnessing a changing of the guard, in real time. Toxicity defined the 2024 season. The racial discourse, the jealousy, the constant whispers and snipes. All of it stemmed from a system unprepared for a superstar of Caitlin Clark's magnitude. Now, that system is breaking and reforming around her. The new Nike deal comes with some fascinating leaked details. A global tour clause is included, meaning Nike plans to take Caitlin to Europe and Asia to promote her signature shoe. This raises a question. Will the WNBA schedule accommodate it? A smart commissioner would. They would understand that Caitlin selling shoes in China or France doesn't take away from the league, it brings fans back to it. The old leadership might have seen that as a distraction. The new leadership will see it as free marketing. This is the fundamental philosophical shift driving these changes. Thinking big versus thinking small. For 28 years, the WNBA thought small. Caitlin Clark thinks big. Nike thinks big. Fans changed the game. The two of them, Caitlin Clark and Nike, are dragging the WNBA into the big leagues, whether the commissioner likes it or not. But never forget who made this possible: the fans. By buying jerseys, tuning into games, and flooding social media, Fans forced the league's hand. If nobody watched, the commissioner could have kept the status quo. But millions tuned in, and the gap between the product and leadership became impossible to ignore. You saw the bad referees. You noticed the strange scheduling. You felt the lack of promotion. You voiced your frustration. This potential resignation? It's a victory for the fans. An admission that the customer is right. The customer wants Caitlin Clark. Fans want big basketball. They want a league that acts like a professional entertainment product, not a gate-kept club. As we watch the ticker for the official announcement, remember, this is more than a job change. This is a culture war in women's sports coming to a head. On one side, the establishment, represented by Engelbert and the old guard, preaching patience, equity, and gratitude. On the other side, the disruptors, represented by Caitlin Clark and Nike, preaching growth, dominance, and star power. The disruptors won. The establishment is folding. The WNBA of 2026 will look very different from 2024. And that is a good thing. It will be louder, richer, and star-focused. The fallout for the other players will be interesting to watch. Can the new commissioner unify the league? Resentment still exists. Some players still feel Caitlin gets too much attention. But a new leader has the chance to reframe the narrative. Caitlin's money equals league money. If revenue doubles, the salary cap doubles. If the salary cap doubles, the 12th player on the bench makes 6 figures. That is the message that needs to be sold. Engelbert failed to sell that message. She let jealousy fester. The new boss? They need to walk in and show the receipts. Look at the Nike deal. Look at the TV rights. This is the pie, and it's getting bigger. Shut up and play. Harsh. Yes. But that is the reality of pro sports. As we wrap up this deep dive, watch the official press release from the WNBA closely. Pay attention to the keywords. They will tell the story of who won, and who's being left behind. Fired or stepping down. If they say pursuing other interests, she was fired. If they say stepping down to spend time with family, she was fired. If they praise her for years of service, but immediately announce an interim replacement from the business world, she was fired. Watch Caitlin's social media. She won't say anything negative. She's too media trained for that. But watch for the Nike promos. Watch for the subtle flexes. The best revenge is massive success. She isn't clapping back in interviews. She's clapping back with signature shoes and record-breaking contracts. The commissioner is leaving. Caitlin is staying. That tells you everything you need to know about who really runs the WNBA. This is a turning point. Years from now, we'll look back at this moment, the resignation and the shoe deal, as the moment the WNBA finally grew up. It's the moment they stopped fighting their own success and decided to embrace it. In the entertainment business, you ride the hot hand until the wheels fall off. Caitlin Clark is the hot hand. Kathy Engelbert, unfortunately for her, was just in the way. The league is clearing the lane. And with this new Nike armor, Caitlin is about to dunk on the entire industry. That is the story. The commissioner is out. The shoe is in. The WNBA is about to get a whole lot more interesting. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay updated on every single development in this saga, hit that subscribe button. We're tracking replacement rumors, contract details, and player reactions live. Don't miss it. The drama is just getting started.